Today, we're going to be answering a very serious question. Does drill music cause violence? You may have recently been aware of the story that New York City's Mayor Eric Adams has floated the idea of banning drill music, apparently the result of his snitch-ass son sending him a batch of New York drill videos, with the content contained in these drill anthems apparently alarming the mayor, who has decided that he needs to take action. Yes, apparently after being made aware that the teenage citizens of his city were shooting and killing each other en masse, he decided it is time to act and ban the music. Apparently, Adams stated that he will sit down with social media companies and remind them that they have a civic and corporate responsibility. We pulled Trump off Twitter because of what he was spewing, yet we're allowing music displaying guns and violence, and we're allowing it to stay on these sites.
And I had no idea what drill rapping was, but I called my son and he sent me some videos, and it is alarming. And we are going to pull together the social media companies and sit down with them and state that you have a civic and corporate responsibility. We pulled Trump off Twitter because of what he was spewing. Yet we are allowing music, displaying of guns, violence. We're allowing it to stay on these sites. Because look at the victims. We're bringing them in. We're going to show exactly what is being displayed, and we are alarmed by it. We are alarmed by the use of social media to really over-proliferate this violence in communities. And I had no idea what drill rapping was, but I called my son.
Serious talk there. Talk of banning certain genres of music in an attempt to lower the violence going on in the city that he is the mayor of. It's an interesting idea, but unfortunately it's actually nothing new when it comes to drill music internationally. Because your boy over here in jolly old, sunny old, rainy old England has actually seen this going on in London for several years now. All the way back in 2018, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick, called on YouTube to take down videos in an effort to curb gang violence, and she was actually successful. So the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police wanted to ban drill music videos, and she was somewhat successful. Over 100 music videos were removed at the request of the London Police, and apparently in the UK this is set to continue. Now thankfully, useless Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick has left her post after a string of scandals. Good riddance. You can do your own research on her, but all I'll say is that she was a completely useless clown at her job, overseeing a number of scandalous tragedies, including the murder of an innocent man by police at a tube station in 2005, a killing of an unarmed black man by the name of Mark Duggan in 2011, and the cold-blooded stalking, abduction and murder of a completely innocent woman named Sarah Everard by one of her own officers, followed by her sending the cops to physically assault a group of women gathered for her vigil. But anyway, enough about the corrupt Metropolitan Police. Let's get back to what we really came to answer here. Does drill music cause the violence? Well, I know that some of you may be disappointed to hear my answer, because I personally believe no, drill music does not cause the violence. Now, I know there might be quite a few people that disagree with me, but let me at least give you my perspective, give you some extra thoughts on this as somebody who spends quite a lot of time looking into the history and going-ons of gangs all around the world, and give you some insights that may be useful for you in forming your own judgment. See, here's the problem with the argument that drill music is causing the violence. What do you think happens when you ban it? YouTube banned drill music, you take down Who I Smoke, you take down Talk Facts, you take down No Censor, you do what these police commissioners and these mayors say is gonna sort everything out, you get rid of the drill music. What happens next? Does everybody in the areas that are warring with each other, killing each other, just get along because there's no more music? No, they don't. They continue what they were doing, they continue killing each other, they continue doing the illegal things that they were doing beforehand. They just can't make music about it. And they also can't make money off of the music that they're making about it. Now, I know for a lot of people, it's really irritating and upsetting that somebody that's living a gang lifestyle or has lived a gang lifestyle in the past can make music about their experiences and make money off the back of it. Hell, I get quite a lot of comments accusing me of profiteering off of the gang violence, extracting money for the gang wars all for myself and lining my pockets off of the back of young, dead gang members. So surely by that logic, my deeply researched videos about these long-running gang feuds should also be banned. And does that too mean that my videos have contributed to the violence, and that somehow if my videos were stopped or taken offline, that violence would somehow stop? No, it wouldn't. Because if there's one thing that I've learned learned from watching and creating hours of content relating to lifestyles of gangs and people living in gang-infested areas, it's that gangs have been going on for quite some time. Members of rival gangs have been killing each other for decades. Take Chicago, for example. Drill music only seemed to rise to the forefront of the cultural zeitgeist around 2010. The Black Disciples and Gangsta Disciples of Chicago had been battling each other for decades at this point. The history of Chicago's gangs go all the way back to the 60s. Drill music didn't even exist then. Hell, rap music didn't even exist then. On that simple fact alone, it's absurd to think that banning this music is somehow going to calm things down. The violence has always been there, and banning drill music isn't going to do anything other than stop a select group of talented people who have been through the gang lifestyle, making money and a career that actually gives themselves an opportunity to get out of the cycle of violence and danger that really puts them at risk. And I know a lot of people are going to give me the somewhat valid counter-argument that, okay fine, but you've got drill gangs that are literally saying, we're going to go and shoot and kill X person, and they're literally going out and shooting and killing that person the next day. But ladies and gentlemen, you'll be very pleased to hear that murder is already illegal. We don't need to ban drill music to prosecute people for committing murders. And yes, if you make a song and you say, I'm going to go and murder Steve on 6 block, and you go to that block the next day and you murder Steve and you get arrested and prosecuted, and that song gets used against you in a trial for murder, you deserve to sit in jail and serve a sentence for murder. That makes you a very dumb criminal. What you're not going to do is put the song in jail. It's not the song's fault that the murders happened. Murder is murder. Songs don't kill. Sure, people are provoking each other back and forth in songs, and yes, smoking dead ops is a pretty ghastly trend that no doubt has caused a lot of anger on both sides of an ongoing gang war. But once again, the insulting and disrespecting of dead people on both sides of a gang war is nothing new. In a lot of my videos about gangs, I tend to trace back the history of gang violence based on lyrics that I hear in drill music in the modern day, but then when it comes to tracing back violence that predates drill music itself, for example the Bronx pre-2019, Brooklyn pre-2016, or Chicago pre-2010, you've only got to go as far as looking at social media. The gangbangers in the Bronx, before they were making songs, they were insulting each other's dead friends on Facebook and Instagram. I've come across examples of gangbangers going after each other and insulting each other on MySpace. Prior to that, if I want to find out information about the gang goings on, I'd have to resort to going back before social media and just look at old regular ass media, finding newspaper clippings that detail the goings on between gangs back to the early noughties, 90s, 80s, and even 70s, when it was clear that gang violence and gang murders between warring groups was still going on. To me, it really is absurd that the music would be to blame for what is currently going on in these communities. This has been going on for ages. So what's really the problem here? Well, I personally think that the entire idea of blaming drill music for the violence, or somehow believing that banning drill music is the solution, is actually much more sinister and messed up than a lot of people think. For argument's sake, let's just go back to the 80s and 90s, where gangs still existed, but drill music didn't, social media didn't, and gangbanging in music in general just wasn't really a thing. The violence was still going on, but we didn't have those pesky drill bangers to blame everything on. So who's really to blame? Well, in my opinion, hey, this maybe is just a spicy little opinion, but in my opinion, the people to blame are actually the authorities. Now, I'm not giving a pass to murder, okay? If you murder a rival, if you're in a gang and you go and kill an op, you're a murderer. You deserve to be punished. Once again, I hate to break it to you, but murder's been illegal for I don't know how long murder's been illegal for. Murder is illegal. Doesn't matter whether you say it on a drill song, on MySpace, or spray paint it on a wall, whacking out your ops logo and spray painting your logo and saying that you're going to kill an op. None of that matters. What really matters is the action. Did you do a murder? Did you get caught for the murder? Can we prove it? Well, you're going away for murder. But then if we trace things back, you got to ask yourself, well, why do gangs exist? Why do these murders happen? Well, at the end of the day, there's a reason why there's a lot of gang violence in impoverished areas that tend to be inhabited by more racial minorities than richer areas. Now, the really simple-minded and racist people would like to wrongly blame race for this. You may have heard in some point in your life very ignorant and misguided people saying things like certain races are more violent than others. I don't believe that to be true. But what I do believe is that as a result of racism, and maybe to a less sinister degree just pure laziness, certain areas have been left to rot over the years. Not enough attention and resources and development have been put to certain areas, the hood as you might want to call it, and as a result these areas are left with so few opportunities that many of the people growing up or living in these areas are forced to resort to other means to make money, protect their communities, and ultimately survive. Again, I'm not giving a catch-all pass to crime here. What I'm saying is that if an area is really run down, there's no opportunities, no role models, and no jobs, it's a no-brainer that crime and sadly violence will eventually emerge from from these areas. And to a large degree, the people that live there that are dragged into these situations aren't really the ones to blame. You know who's to blame? The people that are responsible for managing the economic prosperity of these areas. I'm looking at you, New York City Mayor. I personally think that you've really got some gall to see some videos of young men coming out of difficult areas in your city, in difficult situations, being forced to resort to violence, and saying, I know, it's the music's fault. No, it's actually your fault. You're the mayor. You've not provided enough opportunity or development to an area for the people there to have a better life. And the unfortunate consequence of that is that crime begins to rise. If the murder rate in an area is rising, who is really responsible for that? I would wager it's whoever is in charge of the police to prevent crime. I'm looking at you, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Caressa Dick. It's the mayor or congressman or member of parliament or president, whatever. It's their responsibility to make sure an area doesn't go to shit. And when it does go to shit, it's the police's responsibility to control the crime that arises out of an area going to shit and ensure that when crime does happen, justice is still delivered. It's awfully convenient that this person, who is quite literally responsible for bringing crime down, prosecuting crimes, and ensuring that loads of crimes don't happen, would like to blame music for all of the crime going on, rather than their own bad policing. Which brings me really to the crux of this whole matter. Why do these people, mayors, politicians, police commissioners, why do they want to ban drill music so badly? We've already established that it's completely absurd, that banning the music, or hell, to a lesser extent, my documentaries about the music and the crime going on in a gang-infested area, would do anything to reduce the crime. And once again, this gang-related violence has been going on for decades before drill music was even a thing. And here's what's really going on. They obviously don't want to ban the drill music because it directly causes the violence. That's just ridiculous. They want to ban the drill music because it's popular, because it brings a lot of people's attention to the violence. You might want to say that it glamorizes the violence, it glorifies it, it calls for more violence. But let's be real, in my opinion, it really just glamorizes being a rapper. These drill rappers, they weren't rich off of being gangsters and murderers. You don't get paid $10,000 for every op you smoke. No one knew or cared about these guys until they picked up a microphone and started making art. No, the real problem is that the popularity and rise of drill music in recent years really just exposes these people, these mayors, these police commissioners. It exposes how much they have failed to do their jobs protecting and enriching the communities around the world that have gone to shit. And when an area goes to shit, for decades now, gangs emerge, the drug trade flourishes, and petty wars lead to young men on both sides of the coin losing their lives. And once again, I'm not saying that it's okay for people to kill each other and murder. Murder's illegal, but it's really got nothing to do with the music. The popularity of drill music has just made everybody realize how messed up certain cities, towns, and areas around the world are. What's really going on in these areas? People are getting killed regularly. Young men are being born into situations where they either have no guidance or no alternative than to hop off the stoop and join the local gang because people like the mayor have failed to provide any reasonable alternative of opportunity.